Well, good evening, all. Thank you for joining those of you who could join live. And I know that you who are listening to the recording are going to be a little bummed that you weren't here live because Sarah's going to share with us a lot of super information on how to prevent burnout and how to get us back from it once we've hit that wall. Because so many times, as busy moms, working everything, you don't really realize how drained you are until you've hit that wall. And so, how do you restore yourself quickly um, once you've hit that wall? So, if I'm going to be checking my phone, if you want to send texts to me, I will pass on the questions to Sarah. My cell number is 703 220 9882, and feel free to do that. Text me questions. So we have tonight Sarah Perez, who is I'm going to call you a recovering engineer. She's a corporate engineer by training, and so that is how she knows so well about burnout and the signs and symptoms and what to do. She found her way to being able to restore herself. And now she's here to share her tips with us. So thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us. As an aside, I'm sorry. I know Sarah will agree with me and she can change this if she disagrees. But what we're sharing here tonight is definitely stuff that has helped, information that has helped her, and no doubt has helped many of her clients. You have to use your own due diligence. You have to use your own wisdom to decide if this is the right thing for you. So everything is always your choice. So I just wanted to remind you that you are in control of your life. So Sarah, thank you for that, for letting me go on with that. So Sarah, tell me about what's going on with you now. So where are you now? Tell me a little bit about what you're doing now, and then go back to the beginning.
Okay, so now I have energy, vitality. I don't see symptoms anymore because I went to burnout, like you said, and I burnt out all the way to a chronic illness, which is always fun. And I say that very facetiously. And I totally agree with you. Everybody is empowered to make their own choices. And I made my choices, and my choices led me to burnout and chronic illness. And then I started making better, more sustainable choices for my life, my health, and just to be the mother that I wanted to be for my kids, because I love to work. I love to work. I love helping people. I was always the person that people came to in corporate when they needed that positivity boost, and like everybody was complaining around me, and I was just like, everything's gonna be okay, right? And then people started asking me questions like, are you okay? And that's when I was like, that was like my first little warning bell, right? So I had been working in corporate for about 16 years as an engineer by profession, and I loved my job and I loved the people that I worked with. We were like a giant family. And then the workforce got smaller and smaller, and the workload got bigger and bigger for each of us, which is a common story, right? And me, with my what I now call toxic positivity, I was like, we can do it, guys. Come on, we can do it, guys. And I was like that cheerleader that everybody was like, okay, what do I do now? And I'm like, just be positive. So I've always had like that upbeatness to me. And when people started asking me what was wrong, that's when I knew I kind of lost my way. I was like, wait, I'm not the same person anymore. This is so strange. So I went to the doctor because I had a spot on my face, and I thought, ooh, spot. And my dad freaked me out. He's like, it could be cancer, go to the doctor. And I'm like, okay, I'll go to the doctor, right? And the doctor did a biopsy, dermatologist did a biopsy, and they told me that I tested positive for lupus. And I was like, lupus, but that's an autoimmune autoimmune disease. I don't understand. I eat well. I exercise. I like do those meditation apps, but that wasn't enough. And I was like, well, what else is there, right? Now, if you go in the center of that, I was also a master certified health coach. So I was trained as a health coach. So I really was beating up on myself about that, because I was like, wait, I know what to do. What's going on? And it wasn't until I found other avenues of stress reduction and healing energy modalities that I started to recover from burnout. But that's not what I'm here to teach you about today. I'm actually here to teach you about how to quickly come back from burnout. Now, is it possible to burn out and then burn out again? Absolutely, because we carry those patterns with us. Like, it took us 40 years to learn those patterns. It's not going to take, it's going to take longer than like 3 days to unlearn those patterns,
Right.
and getting to burnout. And that is when I discovered that Reiki in particular was a very good avenue for me to absolutely relax. Like, not the meditation app, the 5 minutes in the morning, or like the yoga at night. I was doing that stuff. But the actual going to a person that was holding space for me just to release all of that stress energy that I had built up over 40 years, right?
Yeah.
So that was a huge, huge stepping stone for me. And I thought, oh, cool, I'll just do Reiki and I'll just be an engineer and a health coach and a mom and a good wife and a good daughter and a helpful person and a good friend. And like, I was still piling all that stuff on myself, and I wasn't getting any better. I would have to take thousands of dollars worth of supplements every month. I would have to, I would fall asleep mid-prayer for putting my kids down. Like, we would say our prayers and I'd like literally fall asleep on their bed, wake up at midnight and have to crawl back into my own bed because I had no idea how tired I was. I was exhausted. So I was like, oh man. So despite the supplements, despite, what I knew how to take care of myself and what my functional doctor knew how to take care of myself, I started seeing a Reiki practitioner every 2 weeks. And about my 4th session, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I don't even know what's going on. And from that, I thought, I want to do this every single day for myself. Like, I'm feeling better. I'm going for this. This is what I want to do consistently. Not that I wanted to help people with it this way or that way. I just wanted to heal myself. And so I took Reiki level 1, and there's 4 levels to Reiki. And I was like loving it. I did my Reiki sessions on myself every morning. I took the time to pay attention to my body, and it's like, even though this food is healthy, should I eat it today, kind of thing. I was really paying attention to what I was being guided to do. And I had never done that before. I'd never consciously used my intuition to heal anything before. I thought, wow, this is a different concept. And it started shifting my business as well. So instead of like pushing to be a health coach for picky eaters, because people told me I'd be really good at that, my guidance was telling me something else. So when I took the next level of Reiki, it was only to heal my family. I had no intention of doing this for a living, none at all. And by the time I got my certification for level 2, which is practitioner level, I had 3 clients just for Reiki healing sessions, and I completely pivoted my business. I was no longer a health coach for picky eaters. And I was like, wow. So to all of this, that is why I teach Reiki now. That is why I'm a certified Reiki master, because it has made such a huge difference in my life, taking me from exhausted, burnt out, grumpy mommy, right? Like, we all know the grumpy mommy thing, but I was always a grumpy mommy, always yelling, and I didn't want to be that mommy. So now I'm very patient with my kids. I realize that, they're pressing buttons and challenges and all those good things that conscious parents know, right? Like, oh, yeah, well, they're just, it's cool. I'm calm inside, so everything's fine on the outside, right? And it's way different than just trying to gloss over an actual situation and be like, oh, everything's fine and happy when it's not, because that's when you're shoving your stress down, and that's what's leading to the burnout. So when you hear people say, or maybe you've said this to yourself, oh man, I'm so stressed out, I'm so overwhelmed, that right there, they might not be burnt out, but they're headed towards that burnout stage. And medically, that has to do with cortisol. You may see blood work that is off if you're going to see your practitioner, your doctor, your licensed practitioner. If your blood work is off somehow. I had a naturopath tell me, you're burning the candle at both ends. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But if somebody's telling you that, don't take it as an offense, because it's really saying something, right? It's really saying like, hey, if you seem on the outside like you're burning the candle from both ends, you might be burning completely out. And so those are kind of some warning signs that I wanted to bring up before I go over the 3 steps to recover from burnout, because it's really important to notice mysterious symptoms that are coming up, being tired all the time, brain fog, your blood work that's off. It might even be that your blood work's in range, but it's on a lower end of the range or a higher end of the range. Now, putting it out there, I am not a licensed doctor, so please follow the advice of your licensed healthcare practitioner. However, I'm just showing you or telling you kind of what I've noticed in my own life and what some of my clients have experienced when they work with their doctors. I am a complementary modality to working with a practitioner like that. And one more thing I want to say about like the signs and symptoms of burnout is like what my friends told me. They're really genuinely concerned about you, and they're like, are you okay? I mean, I was as white. I'm a pale person anyway, but I was as white as a sheet. And my face looked gray. I was so white, I was gray. And I didn't even see it when I looked in the mirror, because I was just like, nope, I got to keep going. I got to keep going, because I'm a mom and I'm running a business and I have a full-time job. And so that has been my primary mission since I've been teaching Reiki, is I want moms, working moms in particular. I have a soft spot in my heart for working moms. I want them to know that it's okay to feel those emotions, and it's okay to take time and space for themselves, because if they're running all the time and running that cortisol out, they're not sleeping well, and they're trying to get everything done and doing what I call hashtag all the things. You don't have to do all the things to be worthy. And that's a totally subject that I like to talk about. That's just kind of where I come from, and where a lot of the moms that I work with, they have those same patterns. They feel like they have to do everything to be the superhero so they can be worthy of what? I'm not exactly sure, not even for myself, but I've kind of curbed that enthusiasm a little bit, and it's been so healthy. So the first step that you want to consider while talking about burnout, or if you're feeling like you're burnt out, or you're feeling that you're seeing these symptoms, is to identify the patterns in your life and your career that need to be healed before you jump into a new venture, a new job, a side hustle. Because a lot of times you'll see these women that are there, they're like, nope, this corporate thing's not for me anymore. I got to do something else. I'm going to start my own business. But they'll take those patterns right into their business, and they'll burn out even faster, because it's the patterns that you've constantly done that take you to that burnout stage. So you got to look at your patterns. Some of those patterns include searching to do more. If you can't sit still and you're always doing something, cleaning something, picking something up, this is very typical of mothers because a lot of moms want their houses to be clean and stuff like that, right? So it's like, oh, I got to clean this and straighten this. And okay. And then, oh, honey, come and watch TV with us. No way. There's too much to do. And then I got to catch up on this work. And so check out that pattern if you see yourself doing that. Also, if you're working too much and too hard. Now, this is sometimes hard to identify as a pattern because you've always done it this way. And before you've done it this way, your parents have probably done this way, or grandparents, or the people that you grew up with that were always working hard to have more, to be more, to do more. And that will keep you in the burnout stage, right?
Right.
So when you rely on yourself to get everything done, that's what you want to identify as a pattern of burnout.
Wow.
Now, how do we get out of that? Oh,
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm on. I took my video off because you were breaking up a little bit, and I thought it might help. So what I'm hearing too is that is a really good sign to pay attention to, because not always are friends going to tell you because they're going that you're looking bad because they're going through the same stuff. But if you start noticing some of these things that Sarah's mentioning, that you're mentioning, Sarah, that not being able to sit still, that's another kind of symptom. However, it's also a pattern. So I like how you're putting this all together for us. Yeah. Thank you. All righty. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, go right ahead.
No, that was very good. Yeah, actually you helped me put those together because it's like, yes, it is a symptom, but it's also a pattern. Like I see it's like busy work, if you will. You know, I see so many moms that they're just being busy because they can't calm down. A huge thing with that too is meditation. When a mom tells me she can't meditate, I'm like, oh honey, I'm with you there. Like I used to be that person that couldn't meditate. That's why I needed that app to do my 5-minute meditations. And in that case, you know, I recommend crystals and stuff for my clients to help with that. And there's certain techniques that we do with that. But if you have a hard time turning off that busy mind, you know, and then it goes into your busy body, then that could be a sign. And that is a type of pattern that we need to watch out for and change. Now, how do we change these things? Just first notice that you're doing them. That is the most empowering thing I can tell anybody. Notice what you're doing, how you're talking to yourself, what, you know, things around you that you can't seem to leave alone. Noticing them is the first step. So it's super important to notice that stuff. Now, step number 2 is mindset. And I'm not saying, yes, you need to have a mindset. Like mindset work is great. And my moms who are life coaches and health coaches, they know about the mindset, but I have a few clients that are like, they're life coaches and they know the things to do, just like I was a health coach and I knew the things to do, but they mindset themselves to death. And what does this look like? This looks like, oh, well, I think I need to get this other certification to be an executive life coach, or I think I need to get this 3rd certification to do Ho'oponopono. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about that because I have so many certifications, I don't even know which ones I have anymore. Because I too was in a pattern of, if I get more certifications, then I'll be better, I'll feel more accomplished. But with every certification, that accomplishment feeling only lasted a little tiny bit. The lasting certification or the lasting accomplishment feeling comes when you can notice your patterns and be like, I don't have to do this. Oh, I'm actually relaxing. There's more to celebrate in a busy mind that can relax than any certification you could ever get on the planet. I mean, it's great. It's so great, right? And I will hear sometimes women saying, well, I just got to get over this mindset block, or I just have to clear this energy block, right? Because working with energy, I hear that a lot, right? And the fact that you say you need to, there's that word need, that can be a shift in your language pattern. And that will help you a little bit. So when you think that it's a mindset block or an energy block that you need to get over, to get fixed, first of all, I want to say you are not broken. None of us is broken, right? Some of us get a little bit disconnected to our truth or aligned with what we're here to do as human beings, spirits in human bodies, right? But some of us, especially me as a former engineer, have that fix it mindset. I've got to fix my parents' relationship because I don't want to hear yelling anymore. I've got to fix my kids' schoolwork because I want him to get a good grade. I'm just throwing out random examples, by the way. Or I am letting go of XYZ. The fact that you're saying you're letting go of XYZ means you're still thinking about XYZ that's in your path to your own personal truth, your own personal greatness. So that mindset, get over the mindset, can actually be doing more harm than good when we're talking about burning out, right? It's kind of like that weird vicious cycle that happens. So the third step, after you've okay, I have some of these symptoms. Let's see. These are the patterns. Okay, check. Okay, am I mind-setting myself to death? Yes, no, maybe so, right? Like, how am I talking to myself? The next step is discover how to accomplish more with less effort. And this sounds wonderful. You see books, do less than, don't work so hard and you'll be successful and make six figures. You see it all over the interwebs, right? And that's great. And I think it's awesome that people teach that stuff. Lord knows I've read many books about how to do that. But it's only true for you if you accept that as your truth. And that might sound a little convoluted, but if you get in touch with what your heart wants, a lot of us overthinkers, we use our brains all the time, right? All the time. And when we get in touch with what our heart wants, it's where spirit, God, source, universe, goddess, whatever you want to call it, speaks to us. And this is how we get clear on our next step. We don't need to know the next 20 steps, even though our brain wants to know the next 20 steps. Like, it's super exciting to know 20 steps to recovering from burnout. It's very categorized, very organized. We love it, right? But when spirit speaks, sometimes it'll show up in images or feelings or just a knowing, right? And so to get clear on that and kind of, come down into our heart from thinking in our head all day, we want to do a little bit of heart expansion. And I have a short little meditation for you at the end to show you kind of how that works. So we speak to our spirit, our heart. We get clear on how we want to feel, how we want to feel, right? And then we set our priorities that resonate with us, not the priorities that some life coach told us that needs to be our priorities, like, oh, me first, then my kids, then my family. Oh, wait, God first, then my family, then my kids. Like, we're given a set of rules and we're like, yes, let's go with it. We're rule followers, right? Or rebels, one of the two. But if you really listen to your heart and listen to what you're being told, in your heart, not in your head, then you can set priorities that you're like, yes, that resonates with me. I love it. I'm writing it down. These priorities might change throughout your life, but to just sit down and just for today, make your list. Ask tomorrow if the list is still valid. It's just a step-by-step process. And then using the calendar to hold space for your boundaries. Now, a lot of people love being productive, especially overthinkers, right? They're like, I'm going to get a lot done in a short amount of time. I'm going to time box everything or make to-do lists. The important thing to know about to-do lists is nobody ever gets the to-do list done. It never, ever happens. And unless it's like 3 things for the week and then you're done. It's like, great. But we're always adding to that to-do list, right? So when you time box, you basically give yourself permission and the space to set boundaries. My boss would just come up to me at my desk whenever he felt like it. Oh my gosh, it's an emergency. You need to stop what you're doing and talk to this customer and blah, 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 right? So I'm like, ah. And then I would sit down. It would take me 15 to 20 minutes to get back into what the heck I was working on. And it made my whole day seem so unproductive. So I took several productivity courses, and one of the most impactful things I learned from the productivity courses was to time box. So I told my boss, so instead of being reactive, I became proactive. I told my boss, I'm going to meet with you at 11:30 every Monday. You're going to give me your list of fires. I'm going to help you put them out, but that will be our meeting time. The rest of the time, I'm going to be doing what I have promised customers I would do. And he was cool with that. Surprisingly enough, it took a lot of bravery for me to do that. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, same space applies. You can do like a 2-hour time box just for, say you want to create content. You can do an hour time box. It's all an experiment, so there's no beating yourself up. But if you want to schedule yourself a half an hour in the beginning of your workday just to sit and breathe and listen to your heart, if that works for you and your lifestyle and your career, do it, right? And that's pretty much how we can get things accomplished and get traction in our lives, in our businesses, in our careers, and with our kids, because we can time box our kids and say, yep, this 3 hours is family time. I'm going to do nothing but play with dolls with my 7-year-old. You know, it's completely up to you. If you don't schedule your own time, somebody else will. So do you have any questions before I go into the heart expansion meditation?
I do. What tips do you have? You were saying follow your heart and connect with spirit on guide, like basically guidance to get you what to do. Does this heart meditation help get more clear guidance? Is this one of the tools that
Yes.
you've used for that? Okay, good.
Yes, it is. It is. This is actually the easiest way that I have found to do it, especially when you have a busy mind, because I never knew what that meant before. So when I was in corporate and I was like taking business coaching courses and stuff like that, one of the business coaches was like, oh, you need to dip into your heart. You need to dip into your heart. Here's a recorded meditation from a lady whose voice I didn't resonate with. And so I never did the meditations. So I was like still stuck. I still felt stuck. I was like, what does she mean? What does she mean? It wasn't until I became certified in Reiki that I knew what that meant. Oh, actually, backtrack. When I was being certified in Reiki, I actually became certified meditation practitioner. So that all blended together as part of my experience. And I found that this is what everybody means when they say dip into your heart. That's why I want to share it with you today.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten any questions. You must be really clear on what's happening. So just as a recap, what I was hearing you say is that the first step to being aware that you're in burnout, or to how to heal yourself from burnout, the first things we have to do is be aware that we're there. And that can show up as symptoms, mysterious symptoms. Doctors may be saying something's just not right. You're burning the candle at both ends. You're hearing from other people around you, asking if you're okay and stuff. And then you want to identify the patterns that need to be healed. And one of those was not being able to sit still. And I think that goes with the busy mind kind of like thing, doesn't it? Right. And I could resonate with that when I was years ago, when I was kind of at the same place you are. I just had a different path to it. And I find it very fascinating how we all have our ways. And I think it's amazing because your Reiki works for a lot of people, which is really awesome. So I'm glad you're here tonight to share that and bring that to mind. So before you, and then your mindset. So really be careful about, using the word need. Notice if you use the word need a lot. And if you just feel like you need to more and more things, certifications or whatever to validate where you are. And then just discover how to accomplish more with less by paying attention to your feelings, which is really a really good thing, because if you're sitting, like you mentioned, if you're sitting with your kid playing dolls and you really don't want to be there, how beneficial is that really being with your kid, and does that really help them? So that's a good point. If you're going to be with your kid, be with your kid. Don't be somewhere else, right? So it's 100% here, 100% there. And that's hard when your mind is going. So this is going to be really, really good. And a calendar set boundaries. I like that. I never thought of a calendar as being a boundary setter, but it sure is, isn't it? My calendar says I can't do that right now. Great.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could totally blame your calendar. And that's what I did when I was in corporate, because a lot of people don't, like, if you say, no, this is my personal space, they're like, oh, what are you, airy fairy? Like, I worked in a very masculine environment, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I have a meeting right now. They don't need to know you have a meeting with yourself. Like, hello, you're just as important as everybody else you have a meeting with. I'm serious. I'm going to say that one more time. I just wanted to sink in. You are just as important, if not more important, than any appointment on your calendar. So why do we not schedule time in on our calendar for ourselves? Like,
oh, that's well
it said. Took me a long time to get that, but that's why I had to repeat it, because it took me a long time to get that.
Yeah, that's a really good one, because it's true. Who are we with more than anybody else? Nobody. We're with ourselves all the time, unless we're off somewhere else in our heads. But yeah, that's a good point. Nobody knows us better than us. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And if I might, with your nutrition background, did you find, if I can get you to pull that up, because I know that's still something that you do use occasionally, any foods that you noticed were maybe more aggravating than others, or any foods that you find, and I know everybody's different, but like in general, more supportive, more calming type foods? Any pointers there?
Yeah, so I do notice that the more caffeine and sugar, I mean, that seems like a no-brainer, but when people rely on caffeine, the energy drinks in particular, I didn't have a problem with those things, but I have had clients that have had problems with those, and they couldn't understand why they were so tired. I'm like, well, what happened? And they would be like, oh, I gave up my energy drinks at 2:00. I'm like, well, that's your natural cycle. 2:00 is your natural cycle to kind of take a break. We run in 90-minute cycles as human beings, right? So it's not just at nighttime, like 90-minute cycle, 5 90-minute cycles is the full sleep, whatever, shebang and shadoo. But we run in 90-minute cycles during the day too. So if you're sitting there and you're like 4 hours into whatever it is that you're doing, and you haven't gotten up, stretched your legs, water, you're not going to feel as good. So same thing with food. If you find that around 2 or 3 o'clock you're reaching for something sugary or some caffeine or something, I highly recommend, instead of going for those things, just taking a 5 minute walk or doing something you really like to do. So then that way it kind of gets your mind off of the sugar, the caffeine, the rush part, and then you're not so reliant on that, because it does become a habit. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody that I knew in corporate had some sort of candy or sugar or something in their desk drawer just so that they could like do the 2 o'clock pick me up or whatever. Or I would see people in the break room at the coffee machine, like, and I'm like, how do you drink that? When we curb our caffeine by noon or 2 o'clock, then we sleep better. And whether we're aware of it or not, you can use a Fitbit or whatever, like a sleep tracker, to track that for yourself, because everybody is individual. But I do notice that the caffeine and the sugar, especially around that 2 o'clock area ish, is more detrimental than helpful. And for calming foods, I would just say that fiber is kind of a go-to for everybody. So if you want to eat an apple, the skin, surprisingly enough, the skin of an apple actually helps you have that sustainable energy that you've been craving. So if you're going to reach for the chocolate, try an apple first. They're super portable and super yummy, and the skin in particular has special enzymes in it for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I see dance breaks instead of coffee breaks around offices around 2 o'clock.
Yes.
Good. Yes. And grab an apple while you're dancing. Okay. Thank you for that. That was awesome. All right. Everybody ready? I'm ready for this heart meditation.
Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to place our hands in a receiving mode. So when you're sitting comfortably, and first and foremost, most rule of any meditation is if you're not comfortable, it's not going to work. So if you want to lie down, you can. Sleep mask, no sleep mask, whatever. As long as you're comfortable, that you feel supported, your back in particular. I know there's back pain in America, like, and everywhere, right? Like, people have back pain. Be comfortable. You can have your feet flat on the ground, or you could just imagine that your feet are touching like a nice grassy area or something like that to help yourself ground. And then to receive, our hands are going to be in an up position on our laps. And then during the meditation, I'll have you bring them up to your heart center. So you can have them like in the center or wherever you feel your heart is. That's where we're going to put our hands when we get to that part. But right now we're just going to start with the breathing and get into the meditation. So, okay, so you might have a lot of thoughts in your head, and that's okay. We all are supposed to have thoughts in our heads. Let's just thank those thoughts. And as we thank the thoughts for coming, we're going to take a deep breath in and out. And imagine those thoughts transforming into little butterflies. And every breath in, you can breathe in a new thought that's coming to you. And with every breath out, you can imagine little butterflies just leaving. Don't worry about anything. Those thoughts will still come back to you. They're not leaving forever. This is your time and your space. And as you're breathing in, just notice where your breath sits. Notice your shoulders. Notice your chest. Notice your middle back, your rib cage, and notice if the breath is going all the way down your rib cage. There's no right or wrong. This is just for you to notice with no judgment. And if you feel a desire to allow that breath to go deeper, you can do so now. And feel your open palms. And as you feel them and as you breathe in, just imagine that you're receiving a gift. This gift is so beneficial for you. You don't even need to know what it is. Just feel the gratitude in the palms of your hands. If you would like to bring your breath even deeper, you can allow that to happen now. And now we're going to bring our hands up to our heart space, our heart center. And as you feel your heartbeat, gently breathe in and out. Under your hands, notice that your chest is rising and falling as you breathe in and out. Now imagine that the breath is coming through your heart. And breathe in the breath to your heart and release it through your heart. These gentle breaths in and out of your heart space will help you listen. As you breathe into your heart, feel it expand. And as you breathe out, imagine that it's an old friend giving you a warm hug. Allow this feeling of love to expand not only through the center of your heart, but allow it to relax your entire body. And just take a few moments to quiet your mind. Breathe into your heart space and listen. If you feel called to do so, ask your heart, what would you love me to do? What would you want me to know? What feels most aligned for me right now? It's okay if you don't get an answer right now. You're still connecting with your heart. And when you're ready, you can bring your hands palm side down onto your lap and feel absolute gratitude for the connection you made today. Feel your feet on the ground, or imagine your feet on the ground. Just wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, and take a deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you. That was lovely.
Thank you.
You can see how that stills your mind.
Yeah, because it has nothing to do with your mind.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And you can go into it longer. The whole point of doing this is to do it on a regular basis. It's kind of like brushing your teeth. When you're a little kid and you first learn how to brush your teeth, you don't do that great of a job. You're doing the best that you can, right? It's like, okay, well, mom said I got to brush the tops and then the bottoms and then the insides. I don't know how to do that. But then you get better and better because you're brushing your teeth every day. You're constantly cleaning your teeth every day. And that prevents cavities and all that good stuff. Same thing with meditation, and this heart expansion one, especially because we are so used to going all the time. A little bit into the space where you're communicating with your heart again. Think of a relationship, right?
Yeah, heart math, that reminds me of the heart math methods and that they promote, and your heart and your brain were once connected. So to have that connection like that is really very supportive for your brain. And
yes,
which helps it slow down because it's like, oh, I don't have to do this alone. Right. Oh yeah, I remember you. So yeah. It's kind of nice.
right. Yeah, your heart does support you. Your brain is a very viable tool as well, like definitely, but your heart's going to support you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for that. Any last minute? Oh, well, how would people get in touch with you with questions that they might have that come up later? What's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, I think the best way to reach me is by email. My email is really simple. It's Sarah, SARAH, at sarah-perez.com. And I can actually put that in the chat. So if anybody has any questions later, they can email them to me, or we can even have a chat if you want to have a chat, and just, just email me.
Yep, there it is. Beautiful. Thank you, Sarah.
Definitely.
Thank you. And if anybody has any last minute questions, any comments? Hey, now.
Hello. Can I just say thank you? That was amazing. It was brilliant. When we were in that heart space, you asked a couple of questions. Can you just repeat what they were? They were the questions we were asking ourselves, just so I can jot them down. Because I know there was a bit of a sequence of questions.
Yeah. So the first, and I I have a little confession to make. When I do meditations, I channel them, so I don't always remember what I say.
I was going with it.
But we have the recording, and basically the questions you want to ask yourself is, what would you love me to do? That's the first one. And then the other questions just kind of came to me like I was being nudged to say it, and I don't exactly remember. Those were more like clarification questions. I know that not everybody likes to answer one question a certain way, or maybe that question doesn't resonate. So I kind of gave you a selection just in case, your heart wanted to answer it a different way.
Great. Thank you. It's really good.
Yeah, so that'll be like, you can check back on the recording at about, about quarter of probably, with 15 minutes left or 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Good question now. Hey, Nikki.
Hi there. This was absolutely what I needed to hear, because I just feel, and I resonate so with slowing the brain down, clearing it. And I want to say, Sarah, it was a gift to me today. So I thank you so much. And Sally, thank you for organizing it.
Oh, my pleasure, Nikki. So glad you could join us. Nikki has been busy, just a move and all that stuff. So I'm delighted to see her smiling face. She always adds so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and we do know, which tells Sarah that Nikki kind of brought up something. Follow your intuition. If you know you're supposed to be somewhere, be there, because you don't know what is going to show, what's going to happen. So you might get a pearl, a nugget. Yeah, that's great. So good. Thanks, Nikki.
You're welcome.
All right. So any last minute things, Sarah, you wanted to say, because we can just wrap it up and let everybody head on with their days, or is there anything?
Definitely. Of course, listen to your heart, do what's fun. And if you're being nudged to show up somewhere, that's a very good point. If you're being nudged to show up somewhere, don't let your brain deny you the pleasure of being somewhere that's really healing for you. I did that for years, and obviously it didn't work out very well. So now I'm just following that, and I'm like, oh yes, I will be there. I don't know why, but I'm showing up, So
Yeah, good. Don't let yourself talk yourself out of something, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
When your heart's saying, yeah, show up. And it's like, and then you can make all these, I've got to pack lunches. I've got to, go.
Yeah. I mean, you do, but you don't.
That's right. There are other options.
For sure.
Well, thank you all. This has been a pleasure to see all your smiling faces. And Sarah, thank you for the words of wisdom. That was really some good tidbits. I got a lot of pearls myself. So I appreciate your time and energy that you brought to the table as well.
Awesome. My pleasure.
Thank you. So thank you all again, and have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and listen to your heart. Bye all.
Bye-bye.